All right, let's get right into it, because what we're about to cover could be the most important lesson you learn for the digital SAT math section. Seriously, if you're aiming for those top-tier scores to get into competitive universities like AUB or LAU, you need to know this. Today, we are learning how to avoid algebra. Just think about it for a second. In your high school math class, what do they teach you? Set up the variables, create these long equations, and then solve for x. But on the SAT, that's often the slow road. It's a road full of potholes and traps, and honestly, it's not the fastest way to get a top score. On this test, speed is king. Now look at this number. About 35% of the digital SAT math is technically algebra. And yeah, that sounds like a lot. It's a huge piece of the pie. But here's the secret the test makers don't want you to focus on. You almost never have to solve those problems the way you learned in class.
So, that brings us to our mission today. We are going to take problems that look like complex algebra and turn them into simple, straightforward arithmetic, the kind of stuff you can just punch into your calculator. This is all about working smarter, not harder.
Okay, let's pull out our first secret weapon. We call it PITA, and it stands for plugging in the answers. It's a beautiful strategy because it uses the test's own multiple-choice format against itself. It's like SAT judo.
So, how do you know when to use PITA? The rule couldn't be simpler. First, look at the question. Is it asking for a single number, like how many dollars, or what is the value of x? Second, look at the answer choices. Are they just a list of numbers? If the answer to both is yes, congratulations, you've found a PITA question.
And the process is a simple four-step plan. You spot the question type, then you pick an answer to test. I always suggest starting with B or C because they're right in the middle. Then you plug that number into the story of the problem and just check if it works. If it does, boom, you're done. If it doesn't, you'll immediately know if you need to try a bigger number or smaller one.
Let's make this real. Here's a problem from a Princeton Review practice test. It's asking for a specific number, how many gallons? And, you guessed it, the answer choices are all numbers. This thing is practically screaming, use PITA.
Now you could go the algebra route. Set up P plus R equals 550, and then that second messy equation with the decimals. It's totally doable, but it's slow, and there are so many places to make one tiny mistake. Or you can just take the PITA way. Pick an answer and see if it works. It's clean, fast, and direct.
So let's start with answer choice B, which in this case is 75. We're just going to pretend for a moment that the answer is 75 gallons of premium. Well, if the total was 550 gallons, that means the rest, 550 minus 75, must be regular. That's 475 gallons of regular. Simple subtraction, no variables in sight. Now for the moment of truth. Does our little scenario match the total money from the problem? We just have to calculate the total cost. So that's 75 gallons times the premium price plus 475 gallons times the regular price. Go ahead and grab your calculator. And what do you get? You get $209.25 for the premium plus $1,135.25 for the regular, which adds up to exactly $1,344.50. It's a perfect match. We found the right answer on our very first try, and we didn't write down a single X or Y. That is the magic of PITA. Okay, PITA is a lifesaver when the answer choices are numbers. But what happens when the answer choices have letters in them, variables like X, Y, or T? Well, for that, we need our second weapon, PIO, which, as you might guess, stands for plugging in your own numbers. The trigger for PION is just as obvious as it was for PITA. You just glance at the answer choices. If you see variables, it's a PION question. The whole idea is, if the test is going to be abstract and weird with letters, we're going to fight back by making it concrete and simple with our own easy numbers. And the game plan is just as solid. First, you spot the variables in the answers. Second, you pick your own easy numbers, like 2 or 3. Third, you use your made-up numbers to solve the problem and get a specific numerical answer. We call that our target answer. And finally, you plug your made-up numbers into all the answer choices to see which one spits out your target. All right, let's look at another one. The question asks for the price in terms of T. That phrase is a dead giveaway. The answer choices are going to be these messy algebraic expressions. That's our giant flashing neon sign to use PION.
So first step, we need to pick a number. The problem is about percentages, so what's the best number in the world to use for percentages? 100, of course. It makes the math so easy. So let's just pretend the original price of this lamp was $100.
Now we just follow the story using our number. We start with a $100 lamp.
It gets a 10% discount, so now it's $90. Then we add a 6% sales tax on top of that. 6% of $90 is $5.40. So the final price Erica pays is $95.40. The problem calls that total price T. So for us, T is $95.40, and that, my friends, is our target answer.
Now for the final step. We're looking for the answer choice that gets us back to our starting number, our original price of $100. So we take our value for T, that's 95.40, and we plug it into the expressions in the answer choices. And when you plug it into choice C, what do you get? 95.40 divided by whatever 0.9 times 1.06 is, equals exactly 100. We found it. No algebra, just arithmetic.
So, let's just pull back for a second and look at what we've done. These aren't just cute little tricks. They are powerful, fundamental strategies that give you a huge advantage by letting you turn the test against itself.
And here it is, the whole system on one screen. It's a simple decision. You look at the answer choices. Are they numbers? Use PITA and work backwards. Are they variables? Use PION and make up your own numbers. This simple choice lets you dodge difficult algebra almost every single time. And this is what you really have to remember. The digital SAT isn't just a math test. It's a strategy test. The people who get the highest scores aren't always the ones who remember the most obscure formulas from class. They're the ones who know the most efficient way to get to the right answer. By turning algebra into arithmetic, you're not just solving problems faster, you're also avoiding careless mistakes and building confidence. You now have two incredible tools in your toolkit. So the only question left is, are you ready to go out there and outsmart this test?